So today's video is going to be about how to tell if a girl is interested in you via body language. So this is just going to be a pure body language video because I feel like it's more reliable than words. That goes for guys as well, not just girls, right? I mean, body language is really just a big part of our subconscious mind. I feel it's really hard to control it, right? Even for my case, like sometimes I would do things that are kind of like automatic responses, and after I do it, I would realize, okay, why did I just do that? And also, why I feel it's a reliable sign rather than what they're actually saying. It's because a lot of times people are just generally paying more attention to what they're saying, what's coming out from their mouth, rather than what their body is saying, right? Which would mean that their bodies are the ones that are telling the truth. And that's how you can kind of save yourself a lot of trouble, I feel. So this video is basically for guys who often find themselves in a situation where they would mistake a girl for liking them more than the girl actually did, or have wasted time on a girl because they didn't know that they were actually being friend zoned, or if you want to know if it's safe to ask a girl out again after you've been on a first date, right? You don't know if she's actually interested in you to accept a second date, or if you just want to know if she's physically attracted to you, right? Because let's face it, if she's not physically attracted to you in the first place, it's going to just take that much more effort and time on your part, right, to seal the deal, if you will, right? And I'm sure you have better things to do. So, in saying that, another benefit for watching this video to the end, that's the trend right now, right? For people to put a reward, like a little reward at the end of the video, just to get you to watch the whole video. But yeah, I'm just gonna give it a benefit right at the beginning of the video because nobody actually watches my videos anyway. But yeah, a really good benefit from watching this video is that it can actually teach you how to be more aware and more observant. Yeah, especially when on a date, I feel like it's a really important skill to have, as opposed to think about what you can say to make her interested in you. You can just see it as a game to tell if she is interested in you by watching her and by listening to her, right? But anyway, let's jump straight into it. So I divided it into two simple categories, which is avoidant behavior and non-avoidant behavior. In simpler terms, when you're observing her, you should always ask yourself, are her actions geared towards distancing herself from you, or the opposite? And I'm just gonna start with roughly from the top to the bottom. So with the hair, it's very simple, right? Rolling off the hair with the fingers, pushing the hair behind the ears, or like adjusting the fringe. If they have like long fringes, they would try to push it out of their face. But basically anything that has to do with showing more of her face, it would mean that she's not avoiding you in a sense, right? Because she's trying to show more of herself. So the bad sign is when she does the opposite of whatever I just said, right? So like maybe if she had her hair behind her, instead of flipping it behind her, she would try and put her hair back in front of her. Or like if a fringe is like covering half of her face, she won't bother trying to push it back. Or just little stuff like that, Those sort of actions would kind of show that she's still trying to hide from you. So it's avoidant behavior, right? She's avoiding you in a way. For the eyes, or eye contact, to be more precise. When you're talking, it's very simple. Is she looking at you? Or is she looking at the phone? Or does she look away a lot? She could be just shy or a bit timid. That's why she doesn't want to give you. That's why she looks away a lot. But the point is if she's interested, she would try, even if she's shy, right? But she's interested in you. She would try periodically to still look at you, from time to time, especially while you're talking. If she's the one talking and she's not looking at you, I would say that's normal because um, it's like maybe they're not confident about what they're saying, about maybe, especially if they're talking about themselves, they're a bit shy, then yeah, it's totally understandable. But if let's say you're talking and she's totally not looking at you at all, and she's like constantly checking out on her watch or checking on her phone, to check the time or something. Yeah, I mean, she could be waiting for some important or urgent message or call to come in, but either way, she's just not interested in you enough to be thinking about what you're saying, right? So yeah, that's a bad sign. So yeah, eye contact is super important. Watch out for that. Position of hands. If let's say you're sitting opposite each other in a cafe or a restaurant, an easy one would be to see if she has her hands on the table or below the table. But if it's on the table, usually it would mean she's open to talking to you, Um, yeah, because if she has her hands under the table, it's kind of like she's hiding something in a way. It could also be seen as a sort of distancing act, right? Like avoidant behavior, right? As opposed to putting her hands on the table. Also, where she touches, is she touching her lips a lot? That's like I mean, that's kind of seen as like a seductive thing, or touching her neck a lot, like this, her collarbones. I don't think girls actually wear necklaces nowadays, but yeah, I mean, they could still be touching her collarbone. So collarbone is a good sign that she's interested, because she's trying to get you to look at her sexy part. Face. Yeah, for me, I find that I touch my face a lot sometimes, like especially my jawline, because I'm kind of self-conscious about it. But yeah, I would say face doesn't really indicate that much. Like it's not really a good indicator of interest. Oh yeah, but if I do find that I only get self-conscious when I'm around someone I'm attracted to because I want to make a good impression, right? So like yeah, I guess I would only touch my jawline when I kind of am interested in the guy or attracted to him. So yeah, I change that. Like so, basically, if she starts touching parts of her face, her neck, her collarbones, that's a good indicator. Also, when let's say you're walking out, to your next destination or something, you could notice if her hands are in her pockets or out of her pockets, right? And a surefire sign that she's interested in you is that if it's cold, like if it's winter, right, and it's cold, freezing, and she still has her hands out while you're walking together, that's always a good sign. And if it's hot, and if it's a hot day and her hands are in her pocket, then that's a surefire sign that she's not interested in you. And depending on these signs, you could actually be a bit more bold if you have the guts. You could try holding a hand and, see her reaction. If you have a high tolerance for getting rejected, right? You should try it. If she throws your hand away, then it was a bad call, I suppose. Or does she keep holding your hand, but you feel like it's a bit stiff? It could be nerves, right? You could stay for a bit, but if she tries to let go naturally, eventually, right? Yeah, it could be she could just not be sure, but either way, she's not 100% interested. So the ideal situation would be if it's cold, she has her hands out, you grab her hand, she holds it, doesn't let go, and she eventually, or at that moment, or eventually, entwines her fingers with your fingers. Or if you're not bold enough to just grab her hands, you could find ways to give her permission to touch you, right? And see her reaction and decide from there if she actually is interested in you. For example, you could use the "oh, I've been working out" excuse, right? And try to get her to feel your muscles. Just have an example where you can get her to use her fingers to touch you. Yeah, so why I thought of this is because I realized with the guys that I weren't attracted to, I would tend to use my fingers, like, just to feel their muscles if they ask me to, right? I would be doing this. As opposed to if I like the guy, right? I would be like full on, oh, yeah. In a way, it's also like avoidant and non-avoidant behavior, right? So if she's using her fingers, it would mean she's trying to avoid touching you, but she's obliged to because you ask her to, right? But if the last part would be the legs. If she's walking close to you, that's a good sign. Is she bumping into you? That's another good sign. But of course, I mean, you can't just judge solely based on, oh, she bumped into me once, I guess she must want to have sex with me. But no. A good count of bumps, I would say, would be 3. So like if she bumps into you for a minimum amount of 3 times, right? Because, okay, again, I'm using my own experience, so yeah, it's like if I'm not physically attracted to him. Yeah, so if I'm not physically attracted to the person, I mean, when you're walking fast, especially, you can't help but bump into them, right? But for me, if I don't like him, if I find myself bumping into him the first few times, like if I do it the first time, like I would probably not be aware of it, especially if you're talking fast and you're walking fast, But if I bump into him the second time, I would become aware of it. Like, whoa, okay, I'm getting too much skin contact with this guy. Become more aware of it and be more conscious of my distance with him in a way. But if I do like the guy and if I bump into him, like I won't even be aware of it, right? I'll just be focusing on what he's saying, on our conversation, like, and it's kind of nice. Like it's like a bonus if you get to bump into each other, if you like each other, right? Also, do your paces match? You can notice if your paces are matching, right? If he's walking slightly faster or slightly slower, that's considered avoiding behavior, right? Like she's distancing herself from you. Even when you're sitting down, her her feet pointed towards you? Are her legs crossed towards you? Or when you're talking while you're standing, are her feet pointed towards you? Those are all pretty good indicators that she is interested in you. I guess I've covered pretty much everything. Yeah. But anyway, again, the most important question you have to ask yourself when you're trying out this exercise on your next date is just to ask yourself, right? Is whatever she's doing in the avoidant behavior category or in the non-avoidant behavior category? And you should always try to, how do I put this? Not just rely on one indicator, right? You should always look out for a series of them in order to make a judgment call, right? In order to know for sure whether she is truly physically attracted to you, as opposed to focus on what she's saying. Yeah, don't get tricked by her words. Girls are very tricky. I'm very tricky. So yeah, hope you found this useful and enlightening. And yeah, I guess that's it for today. Hope you look forward to the next video. Such an awkward ending, but yeah. Thanks for watching again, and yeah, ciao.